We continue with our build-up to the ANC's January 8th statement tomorrow, which is set to take place in Bloemfontein. Party President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the keynote address, with unity expected to be the focal point of his speech. Let's look at the state of the ANC as it celebrates 111 years of existence. I'm now joined by political analyst Sandile Swana. Sandile, appreciate your time today. Now, looking at tomorrow's January 8th statement, there obviously is a huge amount of expectation from a citizenry that has largely struggled in the last few years. What can we expect from President Cyril Ramaphosa's statement?
I think Cyril Ramaphosa will address us on 3 counts. The first count being to show us that the ANC is being renewed and made fit for purpose that can actually present us with a credible cabinet, an executive, and a parliament that can run this country properly. So he's going to talk about the organizational renewal and the success of that, and that they are fit for purpose. The second one will be about the state. In the state, there are specific areas that have presented problems that we need answers on. Number one, energy, the supply of electricity, turning on the lights and keeping them on permanently. South Africans need to know the date when load shedding is going to stop, and Cyril Ramaphosa has got to say something about that. Number two, for the longest time in the past 14 years, South Africa has not had an economic plan. We also do not have even an economic recovery plan related to the devastating effects of COVID. It does not exist. There is no social compact around that. So those are the things that are missing. He has also emphasized, and we expect him to comment further on the issue of gender-based violence and also crime and corruption that has engulfed the country. And lastly, Cyril Ramaphosa will have a task to assure the nation that he is a president who is in office, who's going to finish his term, and perhaps even promise people that he could possibly get a second term and finish it, because as you know, he had already resigned, apparently, according to some reports, and they had to catch him, strengthen him, and put him back on the presidential chair. So he's got to assure the nation that he is with us and we are with him.
Now, Sandile, what is it that Cyril Ramaphosa will say tomorrow that he hasn't already said in the past that will have the nation assured of what is likely to take place over the next 12 to 18 months?
I think the issue of the speech is more of a formality, because as you correctly point out, Cyril Ramaphosa from 2012, since he entered the presidency as deputy president till today, he has been making speeches and promises even around ESCOM and the SOE, state-owned enterprises, and all sorts of things that have not come to fruition, including the social compact and the economic recovery plan. So the speech itself is not important, to be totally honest. It's of very little consequence. What will be of consequence is the speech that he will make 12 months later in January 2024, which will be 12 months from now, to say, yes, the things that I've been promising since I became deputy president, and certainly since I became president, in these past 12 months, I have now delivered on them. They are done. People, the South African citizens, and all kinds of investors are looking for results. We're not looking for a speech from anybody. We're looking for results. So the results will actually be the main speech. And States SA and others, the Reserve Bank and others who measure these things, will be able to give us the report ahead of time anyway, to see if he has been able to deliver on what he promised.
Well, you've outlined a number of areas that Cyril Ramaphosa will need to address, including energy. You've talked about economic recovery plan, GBV and crime. But what's also important, as possibly a statement that the ANC has made and starting to do some action, if you will, is that they've talked about relocating SOEs. For instance, Eskom will be relocated to the Department of Energy. Is this an indication that they are doing what they need to be doing, what they should have already done? Is this set to inspire the confidence that we expect, or the assurance that you've spoken of?
No, it does not inspire any confidence at all. And there's a reason, there's a specific reason why it does not inspire confidence. When you make an important decision, as this one that you have just mentioned, we want to know the diagnostic, what evidence informed you that the decision that you are making is correct. Because the current situation, when you transfer these departments into the Department of Public Enterprises, State Enterprises, you said it was correct. The ANC made this decision and said it was correct. Now they are changing the decision. There is no hard evidence that has been given to us to say, why is this decision? I'll make another example of this. We were told recently that they are deploying soldiers, military soldiers, SANDF, to Eskom power stations and so on. We were never given the risk assessment report as to what evidence guided the cabinet to know that the thing they need to do now is to deploy the military. Because that is not a decision that can be taken casually. There must be science, full science behind it. And we've got the scientists who can do those analyses and tell you what the correct decision is and share that information with us who are voters and taxpayers in this country. So I am not impressed by some such type of decisions, which I think this is another one of them.
Now, can the ANC give the votership or the citizens of South Africa assurances without transparency? Because clearly, from what you're saying, there is no transparency in the decisions that they make or change.
The issue of transparency in the ANC trying to show that it is strong, it is a capable leader. Unfortunately, democracy, constitutionalism, and transparency, accountability, all those principles that form the Republic of South Africa are under attack. I'll use an example. For an example, we've been told by the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Fikile Mbalula, that from their point of view as the ANC, they are not opening the topic of Phala Phala up for discussion anymore. They are closing that discussion. All 11 opposition parties have said that they want that discussion to continue. Mbalula is ignoring that. 8 state agencies are investigating this thing, which means from the state itself, the topic is open. You and I don't know how many journalists are asking me about this topic, and yet Mbalula is closing the discussion on this topic, which means transparency, especially around the misconduct of the leaders of the African National Congress, which has created the total disaster that we're in, including the switching off of electricity in South Africa, the collapsing economy, which is a direct result of previous presidents who have been damaging this country. Now we're being told that they are closing discussions around these issues where transparency is lacking.
Sandile Swana, political analyst, appreciate your time today. And according to him, the ANC lacks the necessary transparency to reassure the nation of some of the decisions that they're making. Well,